Okay, we are going to continue with our lesson about fractions. We did equivalent fractions in the last video, and today, or this one, we're going to talk about simplifying fractions. And what does simplify mean? There are two methods for simplifying fractions. Basically, simplifying fractions is you are taking a fraction and you are reducing it down to the smallest factors that still make an equivalent fraction. There are two methods you can use to simplify a fraction. Now you're going to want to write these two ways in your Cornell notes, and so you're going to want to write the first one, do an example, and then write the second method. The first method is using repeated common factors. The steps for this are find a common factor, a number that will divide evenly into another number. And remember, it has to be a number that will divide evenly into both the numerator and the denominator. You divide both the numerator and denominator by the common factor, and you repeat the process until there are no more common factors. The fraction is simplified when no more common factors exist. So let's look at an example of this, but you're going to want to pause right now and write down those three steps. Leave a space in between each step to do an example. Okay, so let's look at 8/16, and we are going to simplify 8/16 using the repeated common factor method. The first thing you're going to do is you are going to find a common factor of the numerator and denominator. 8 and 16 are both even numbers, so a common factor is 2. Another common factor might be 4, or you may find other common factors that you can use as well. It doesn't always have to be 2 or 5. What you're going to do is you're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by the common factor. So you do 8 divided by 2, 16 divided by 2, and you get 4/8. Then what you want to do is you want to look at that fraction, 4/8. And you want to ask yourself, is there still another factor that both 4 and 8 share? If there is a factor that 4 and 8 share, you still do not have it in simplified form or reduced. So what you're going to do is you are going to do it again. And 4 is a common factor of 4 and 8. And you can't see that on the bottom there. So you would divide the top by 4, divide the bottom by 4. That would be 1/2. And then you look at 1/2. Neither of them have a common factor other than 1, so that is your simplified form. All right, let's try another one. I'm going to have you do this on your paper. So you go ahead and try this, and then we'll go through the 3 steps together. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is find a common factor of the numerator and denominator. In this case, we could use 2, we could use 6, we could use 3. There's a lot of them. So depending on which one you chose, in this case, let's say I'm going to do 3. So I would take the numerator, divide by 3, and the denominator, divide by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So I get 4/8. And then I have to ask myself, well, first I was finding 3, 4/8. So when I have 4/8, I have to ask myself, is that in simplest form, or can it be divided by another factor? And it can. I can divide by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Once again, there's still a common factor. I can divide that by 2 and divide that by 2, and I get 1/2. And I cannot simplify anymore. So the simplified fraction for 12/24 is 1/2. So when you are asked to simplify fractions, that is what they are asking you to do, is put it in the most simplified form possible. Okay, why don't you pause it again and do 9/36. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one. So we're going to find common factors. If you're looking for ways to find common factors, you can also do like a list method. So common factors of 9 would be 1 and 9, 3 and 3, and no others. Of 36, 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 6, and 6. So just 1 6 in there. Common ones, 3. Okay? So I'm going to use 3. I'm going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3, and I get 3/12. And then I have to look at 3/12 again. Can I continue that process? Yes, they are both divisible by 3, and I get 1/4. Can I do it again? No, I can't. So therefore, 9/32 is... All right, sorry for that. I had an unexpected visitor. So let's go on to the next one. Method 2 is using the greatest common factor. So before you can start simplifying your fractions, you find the greatest common factor of the numerator and denominator. You then divide it by the greatest common factor, and this way you go from your original fraction to the simplified fraction in one step. So, for example, let's say we're going to simplify 6/15 using the greatest common factor method. The first thing you would do is find the greatest common factor of 6 and 15. Now you can do it the 3 ways we talked about it. You can do it by listing the factors, you can do it by making a factor tree, or you could do it by the birthday cake method. So whichever method you prefer is what you would use to find this. In this case, I'm going to use the list. So the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. The factors of 15 are 1, 3, and 15. And I can notice that the greatest common factor they both have is 3. Then what I would do is take my 6/15, divide the numerator and denominator by 3, and I end up with 3/5. 6 divided by 3 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And it's only one step to get you to the simplified fraction. All right, go ahead and do 10/25 using the greatest common factor method. And you can use listing, you can use factor trees, or you could use birthday cake method. Go ahead and do this on your paper and then come back and check. Okay, so if we do 10/25, I'm going to do the list method. So I would have 1 and 10, 2 and 5, 3 doesn't go into it, 4 doesn't go into it, I already have my 5. 25, 1 and 25, 2 doesn't, 3 doesn't, 4 doesn't, 5 and 5, so I have 1, 5, and 25. My greatest common factor would be 5. I do 10/25, divide by 5, divide by 5, 2/5. So my simplified fraction is 2/5. All right? Go ahead and do this one on your paper. Okay, so we'd start by finding 26. I have 1, 2, 13, 26. There's 65. 1, 5, 13, and 65. Greatest common factor is 13. Next, 26 65ths divided by 13 divided by 13 would give me 2/5. Okay? All right, what I want you to do is I want you to use either method and find each of these in simplified form and bring them to school tomorrow ready to hand it.